song is for all the mothers who are here in body and all the ones that are here in our hearts and our memories. We're going to have them all here today, and we're going to hear this song. A loud song. 1, 2, 3. Your wisdom, strength, and beauty, your courage, your love. You're the universal mama, and we sing to you today. You are wisdom, strength, and beauty, your courage, your love. You're the universal mama, and we sing to you today. Come on, sing with me. You are wisdom, strength, and beauty, your courage, your love. You're the universal mama, and we sing to you today. You are wisdom, strength, and beauty, your courage, your love. You're the universal mama, and we sing to you this day. Mama, you are a gift of God to mankind. You hold the flame of life. Mama, you give your body blood and bone to nourish that flame and bring it into life. In great pain and great joy, a mother and child are born. Universal soldier, universal mother, universal son. And in great pain and joy, a mother and child are born. Universal mother, daughter, and son. You are strength, beauty, you are courage, you are love. You are love. We sing to you today. Your wisdom, you are love. You're the universal mama. We sing to you today. When we're in pain, we call out your name. Mama seems to understand things that come so hard to every man. I think you got a 7th sense, or maybe even more, 'cause you seem to know what's all waiting beside that door. 'Cause you strength, you are courage, you are the, and we sing to you today. You are wisdom, your beauty, you are the, and we sing to you today. Let's take one more time. You are wisdom, your strength, oh, your love. And we sing to you today.
Danny Cox, everyone. The one and only Danny Cox. Thank you, Danny. Thank you, thank you. Oh, my. My mother is the bones of my spine, keeping me straight and true. She is my blood, making sure it runs rich and strong. She is the beating of my heart. I cannot imagine a life without her. Kristen Hanna. My mother, she's beautiful, softened at the edges and tempered with a spine of steel. I want to grow old and be just like her. Jodi Picoult. Because even if the whole world was throwing rocks at you, if you had your mother at your back, you'd be okay. some deep-rooted part of you would just know that you were loved, that you deserved to be loved. Jojo Moyes. Such strong and courageous mothers are ones that fill our lives. And as Danny just sang, they come to us in all shapes and in all forms. Some of them have birthed us, others have not. Some are even male as well as female. But we recognize the energy, don't we, of strong and courageous mothers. Women that love, men that love through the power of love that is big, love that does not give up, love that endures, that teaches, that pushes us, that guides us. I have had a mother, can you tell? I'm describing my mama. And I will tell you something, mothers make an extraordinary difference in our lives. They teach us so many things. They teach us that love can move mountains. They teach us that all things are truly possible. And they teach us to never, ever give up on ourselves and on our dreams. You know, I look around today and I see this room filled with mothers. I see the power of love and the strength of love that comes from the divinity within, and it is flavored by the humanity of who and what we are as mothers. And I can't help but think that mothers and that mothering energy comes from a very sacred place where we know and where we stand in the truth. And I love the words from Isaiah, the words that say, "Those who trust in the Lord will find new strength. They will soar high on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary." And I especially love this part. They will walk and not faint. Do you know what I mean? My mom was just like that. My mom, my kids call her Bachan, which means grandma. And so the funny thing is then they called her Grandma Bachan, which is really like calling her Grandma. But anyway, that's my mom. And she was an itty-bitty little thing. I don't think she ever weighed over 100 pounds. And she was little. I mean, I was what I call Japanese big compared to my mama, you know? I always felt like, oh my God, I'm the big one in the family. And I kind of was as far as the girls went. Because my mom was so tiny, but let me tell you something. She was scary. She was scary. Oh my God. She was so strong in what she believed, and she worked so hard in teaching myself and my sister, and later on my two brothers, to do the right thing and to do it well, and you better darn well do it perfect. According to her values, you better, or else you would hear about it. And my mom, she taught me to say thank you. Now I have to tell you, she only had to teach me once. I remember I was in 4th grade. We were hanging up kitchen cafe curtains, and she had put her money together. She worked in factories all her life. She put her money together and bought me a pair of blue jeans. And we were hanging up those curtains, having a good old time. And she said to me, "Myra, you haven't said thank you for the blue jeans." And I said, "Well, you didn't have to buy them." Oh! I don't know what, I still shudder. It's been a few years. Just thinking, I don't know why I said that. My mom, washing dishes at the sink, whipped around, looked at me like she was on fire and came after me, put her hands on my shoulders and said, "What did you say?" "Thank you," Asian shame pose. "Thank you. I really like my jeans. Thank you." Believe me, I have learned to say thank you after that gorgeous moment. And the other thing about my mom, she had what I call bionic superpower ears. Oh my gosh. Washing the dishes with my mom, and I was a teenager and I wanted to go out with my friends, and she said, "Nope, you have to be a good girl. You go out one Friday a month." I'm washing the dishes this time, right? And I just said under my breath, I said, "That's terrible. Whoever thought that would be a good idea?" Now, my mother was as close as that second stained glass, well, maybe a little closer. I was just mumbling under my breath. Again, my mother appears, and she comes running over to me, and she said, "What did you say?" Asian shame pose. Nothing. She said, "You have to respect me." She doesn't even know what I said. All she knows is I said something. Now, I think teenagers could learn a little bit from my mother today, because we learned you never talk back like that, even to yourself. But I'll tell you something else. My mom, she had a lot of triumphs in her life, and she had a lot of trials. And she was the same through both of them. She was peaceful and strong. She always appreciated the good. She found a way to see the good in all things just a little bit. And when she was having those trials, and there were many, she kept the peace, and you would never know that she was really struggling. She was open and she was honest about what was happening. She was open and she was honest about the sorrows and the pains and the disappointments and the awful things that happened. But she kept her peace, and she was strong. And through her example, I learned that you can endure anything with love. You can endure anything if you call on the strength within you that is greater than you. That was my mom. She passed from this plane 23 years ago, and I think of her every day. Her name was Mutsuko Oki McNaughton. Itty bitty, but strong, courageous, with big love, and a big power of mama all over her. Thank you, Mom, for being all that you have been. What a pleasure it is to share about my mom with you. I hope to be like her, and I like to be like her. I've never learned how to develop those bionic ears yet, but in other ways, I'm a little bit like her. My children are also terrified of me, which I think is good. We're going to keep it that way. But with that thought in mind, I want to ask you to welcome someone to the stage who's very special to all of us, Scott Pendergraft. He's going to talk about his mom today, so please welcome him.
Thank you. Before I get started, I just want to extend a happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there today. It's all about you today, so do something for yourselves and enjoy today. Just a quick history lesson. When Myra asked me if I would speak about my mom, I really wrangled with the notion of trying to encompass 47 years of life lessons and all the amazing things that she's taught me in that time in such a short period of time. So here we go. She is, as you can see in that picture, a true redhead, even though she colors her hair, but she is a 5'0" force of nature. and I say that in the kindest of ways, but my father left at a very early age and never came back. And so she was left the task of raising her boys on her own. And I watched her struggle and sacrifice so many times, and deal with the pain of losing a child and having to endure that and raise the remaining 3 boys and carry on without help from a man or anybody else to back you up and offer financial needs and moral support, things that you as a human being need and that we need as a family to carry on through such hardships. But she did, and growing up in a single-parent household, I really didn't feel like we were that much different from the other kids in the neighborhood that had both parents, just because she overcompensated for not having a father around. And I can't even imagine what it must have been like to have to raise my brothers and I. We were like wrangling wild animals. We were extreme hooligans. When I told her that I was speaking about her today in church, a matter of fact, her response was, "Oh." And I said, "Don't worry, Mom." And I don't think she was responding or reacting that way because she was worried that I was going to paint her in a negative light. She knows how much we love and adore her, and I think that she didn't want me to paint her in an unrealistic light. Her exact words were, "You're going to get up there and make me sound like Mother Teresa." And I was like, "No, I am not." She was a force of nature, and like Reverend Myra said, she was a very strong, traditional Irish woman, and heavy-handed, and like rightfully so. We were always getting into something, but we learned at an early age the quality and the strength that has bonded our family together. We're a small family, as you can see in that picture. That unity, loyalty, and love of our family would get us through whatever. And there's been a lot of challenges and a lot of obstacles thrown in our path, and we have taken those core values that she's given us and rallied around each other and built each other up, and somehow made it through the other side with not always the result that we want, but always healthy, always happy, and always together. And if you ask my kids who are with their mother today, celebrating Mother's Day, they would tell you in an instant the one thing that Dad has always hounded and said from day one is, family is everything. Without your family, you're nothing. Always have your family's back. Always, stay true and loyal to who you are, and that will get you so far, and people will respect you for that. And in closing, I just want to read a letter that I wrote to my mom last year for Mother's Day. She was 2 years ago diagnosed with pulmonary fibrosis, which is uncurable, and her doctors gave her 2 years to live, and so she's in her second year right now. And she, in fashion of everything that she's done and her strong will, don't quit, never give up attitude, she looked at me the other day when we were talking about it and discussing her condition. She said, I'm in the second year of my final days, according to my doctors. And she looked at me defiantly as quickly as that came out of her mouth, and she said, "I'm not dying this year. I will not die this year." And that inspired me to such great lengths. I can't even imagine what it must feel like to have somebody put a time clock on the rest of your life and tell you, this is it. This is all you've got. So, make it count. And she is. So here's what I wrote to her last year for Mother's Day. To my first crush, my first love, the one woman who never broke my heart, never wanted anything from me other than love, respect, and to become a man she could be proud of and see the fruits of all her hard work and sacrifice pay off. To the woman that raised 3 boys on her own without a man around to help, who gave up having a life of her own so that she could give her boys a great home, nice clothes, healthy food, and more importantly, a mother's love. And so many other things, too many to list. To the woman that has stood by me through all the rough times in my life when I felt alone, abandoned, and worthless. She is my rock, my voice of reason, the light at a very dark tunnel. To the woman that has showed me a strong work ethic and determination, can carry you and elevate you to places you thought were unattainable without a college degree. To the woman who instilled in me the love, loyalty, and unity of family and the importance that will play throughout my life. To the woman who showed me the true meaning of unconditional love. Mom, you've given me the greatest gift a parent could ever give their child. Values for which we hold dear to us, principles to which the foundation of our family were laid, and morals which will be handed down like family heirlooms to my kids. My world would not exist without you. To the strongest woman I know, you inspire me to be a better father to my own kids and to love them with the same passion and unconditional love with which you've loved me. To my one true love, happy Mother's Day, Big Mama. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. It's amazing. I do know that not everyone has been blessed biologically with a mother who has been nurturing or loving. But at other times, even if that is the case, other times there are other people, known and perhaps known from afar, that fill that space. One of my best friends, when my children were little, when I was just new at being a mother, was somebody who had a mother that was pretty nasty, pretty abusive to her. And but my friend, she was one of the greatest moms without children that I have ever seen and witnessed. She became the mother eventually that she never had. She was loving and nurturing and kind and funny and strong. And when we were all together, I would have gladly trusted my children in her care with their lives. And so mothers come to us in all kinds of ways. They come to us in different forms. They come to us even in different ages. When I think about mothers, I think about young mothers that are not necessarily people that have had children, but they have been mothers to humanity. I think about Malala, who is indeed the nurturing mother and the strength of mother for women in Pakistan and a great example around the world. I think about Joan of Arc, who is the patriot saint in France for her courage and her strength to stand for freedom and for unity. I think of Mother Teresa, whose kindness and perseverance went to the darkest corners of India, and she picked up those that were dying so they would not have to be alone. And she nurtured them as they moved on. There are so many mothers that bless us in one way or another, regardless of closeness or age, but definitely by example. There's a wonderful mother in the Bible. She's found in the book of Judges. Her name is Deborah. And she is the only female judge found in the Bible. She was a prophet, she was a poet, and she had incredible strength and love. And back in the day when she was alive, the Israelites were indeed very, very lost. They were under the rule of Canaan. And they themselves, the Jewish people, they had lost their sense of identity and purpose. They were feeling victimized by the harsh rule of the Canaanites. But she held a vision in her heart. And she was an instigator, and she spoke to the people loud and clear, and she said, "Rise up. Know your value. Live your spiritual purpose. We do not have to live in bondage like this." And she put her life on the line by speaking in this way over and over again. And eventually she was able to arouse enough people so that there was indeed a protest, and there was a fight, and a great victory was had by those Israelites. And when she was asked about it, she humbly said, "Oh, it is not me. I am just a mother in Israel." The power of being a mother, of owning those strengths, comes to us all, and it blesses and inspires us all. So hold this energy in your heart as we welcome Linda Lemieux to the stage to talk about her experience in being a mother.
When Myra asked me to speak, I was really honored, but also wasn't sure I was going to be able to make it through this talk. Interestingly enough, I never thought I would ever be a good mom. So I never aspired to be a mom, didn't necessarily want to be a mom. But then when I was 33 years old, I met and married my first Prince Charming, Paul. And he had two beautiful children, Amy, 13, and John, 9. And oh my gosh, I love those children as if they were my own. And we did everything together. But what I remember most were Sundays when Amy and I would be in the kitchen cooking dinner, and John and Paul would be out in the living room watching any and all sports, anything sports. It was on, so I knew it would be a sports afternoon. 6 years later, Amy gave birth to a beautiful little girl, Alicia. Oh my gosh, I'm now a grandmother. And this is a picture of her on the right with the black shirt on. Me, I'm on the left, if you couldn't tell, and then my daughter, Alicia. And I don't know, Alicia kept calling me Nyanya. And I don't know if she was trying to say Grandma, if she was trying to say Linda. I don't really know, but it didn't matter, because I love this bundle of joy more than life itself. And I would do anything for her. And then when Alicia was 4 years old, Amy died unexpectedly. And in a matter of moments, I became a mom. And wow, although I was so sad because I lost the joy of my life, Amy, I became a mom. And it was really not too long before that I realized, having been with Amy and John, that I would have made a really good mom. So when I became Alicia's mother, I cherished her and I worshiped her, but it was also very terrifying because now I'm in charge of bringing up a child that I knew I would bring up on my own because I knew it would be the death of our marriage, because Paul really wasn't a very good father, and I knew it'd be not too long before he would leave us, and he did. So I remember the first time that she called me Mama, and I cried because I didn't ask her to call me that. I was her grandmother, but I was okay with that, and we adopted her. I wanted Alicia to do everything with me, but she had other ideas, as most of our children do. I remember when I was clowning, and I asked her if she wanted to be a clown, And she said very strongly, "No, that's your thing, Mom, not mine." And she couldn't have been more than 8 or 9 years old at the most. And another time I said, "You want to learn sign language with me?" And she said, "No, that's your thing, Mom, not mine." I think she had that phrase cloned. She had it memorized. So one of the things I learned about motherhood, which is what Myra had asked me to share, was our children do have their own minds, and at some point we learn to accept that. Another lesson, probably the most important lesson that I learned, was to understand that Alicia was on her own path too, much like I was when I was her age. You see, raising Alicia wasn't always easy. She was so angry about her mother's death, she struggled at times to understand her own self-worth. And we battled. We truly battled. And I have to admit, there were a couple of times I thought, now I know why some animals eat their young. Sorry, but it's true. She had had several suicide attempts, which really devastated me. And, you know, I really wasn't sure how much longer Alicia would be with me. But I continued to love her. I went to Myra for spiritual counseling. There were really hard times, but I cherished those also because I learned a lot. She learned a lot through all of these, and my love was absolutely endless and unconditional. So the years went by, and Alicia became pregnant. And she had a hard pregnancy and had to deliver her new baby 3 months early. And as you can see, here's the pictures of us. And the picture of me there is me holding her for the first time because she spent her first 10 weeks in the NICU holding on to life. She was very fragile, and her name is Nyla. And at 1 pound and 13 ounces and 12 inches long. Fortunately, though, she was a fighter. And here we start again, and I can once again say without a doubt, I love this bundle of joy more than life itself, and I know I will do anything for her.
Thank you so much. It's beautiful.
Got through it.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Maya Angelou says, to describe my mother would be to write about a hurricane in its perfect power. My mother's gifts of courage to me were both large and small. The latter are so woven within me into the very fabric of my psyche that I can hardly distinguish where she stops and where I begin. Today we thank all of our mothers. We thank each and every one. And we thank all those that have been mothers to others, for surely all mothers today are valued and esteemed in our hearts and in our minds. And so let's take some time today to honor these wonderful, strong, courageous women and mother figures who have blessed us so deeply in our lives. Let's take some time to turn within and just say a prayer of gratitude, a prayer of thanks, and allow the mothers that you have known, biological and otherwise, to come into your awareness in this moment. Each one is so precious, each one powerful, each one loving, strong, good. See the mothers who have blessed you in your life, and with a grateful, open heart, say thank you. Thank you, Mom. We cannot imagine a world where mothers have not touched and moved us, where mothers have not shaken their fingers at us and called us up higher. We cannot imagine a world without mothers. They are the very heart, the strength and the power that lives within us, and we are grateful. Thank you, God, for the gift of mothers. Thank you for their strength, for their courage, for their loving example. And so it is. Amen.